is Eddie C, and welcome to my Positive Podcast. I'll bring you positive stories of people from all walks of life, because everyone has a story to tell. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of MPP. I'm your host, Eddie C, and this is my Positive Podcast. Well, first of all, thank you all for tuning in each week. The audience is slowly growing, and I really appreciate it very much. And I think my guests do as well. Speaking of which, I've got three very special guests for you once again this week. My first guest is a light technician, but also does catering for studio sessions. I have a young lady who's doing research for film documentaries. I also have another guest on here, and we go back 60 years, and he's into construction technician and management. So if you're curious about their stories, tune in and stay positive. My name is Eddie C, and you're listening to my Positive Podcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my first guest is a guy that I met some time ago in the studio with the group Soul Sister that I work with for the last 30 years. And he was actually doing the catering there, but basically he's actually also a light man. And I'm very glad to have him on the show. We had a great talk, and I said, well, come on the show, man, but your story is quite interesting. So please welcome Mr. Bruno Decock. Hey, Bruno, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Eddie, how are you? I'm fine.
It was really nice the last time we met, and the cooking part was fantastic, especially because we spoke about the whole vegan and vegetarian thing. But can you tell my audience a little bit more about your background and how you actually ended up getting into the catering and doing the lighting and everything?
All right. Yeah, well, I was born 46 years ago in the west of Flanders, near to the French border. And there was a concert club nearby. It's called the Kreu. I don't know if you know that place.
Right.
And they did a lot of concerts. So when I was about 17, I rolled in, started to help, carrying flight cases, and got really interested in music world. So I did everything.
The whole technical side of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So I liked that a lot. And then I finished school and almost rolled into it again. And I started working in a theater.
Right.
A local theater. Yeah. So, and I got interested in light, and not especially in sound. And then companies came by and artists, and somebody asked me to, hey, would you like to come on tour with me? And it was a comedian who played a lot. It's called Wouter de Pre. He's quite famous in Belgium. So I started doing that, and I did it for about 14 years.
Okay.
And we played 5 shows a week, Holland and Belgium. So that was more than a full-time job.
Wow.
So I quit the job in the local theater and started touring. So that was fun. And then Wouter took a sabbatical. So I was unemployed. And I started working with bands. Mm-hmm. Again, rolled into that. And
well, how did you? When you sorry to interrupt you, but how did you do the get involved actually in the actual lighting part? Because that seems to be your specialty. Did you do a special study for that, or did you just fall under the wings of some of the other guys and they taught you everything?
Yeah, well, there was one guy who teach me just the basics, mm-hmm. And then I found out you can create things with not so much spots or lights, and then everything where it comes light out, you can use it. Mm-hmm. That's a nice thing.
Right. It kind of evolved, starting small with just a few lights, and you created your own style, your own technical way of working. Basically, it comes to that, right?
Yeah, sure. And it's all about the creation that I like. So I'm not the best technician about lights and stuff and what can they do. No, if they do what I want mm-hmm. them to do, it's okay. It's fine. It's more than fine.
Okay.
Well, then I started touring with those music bands, and till today. So I work with it says the Metal, which is a Flemish band. We played Belgium and Holland, and roast beef. So I don't do much, but I do what I like. I made a decision after school, so I like what I do, and I do what I like. So it's easy. And
that's it. Like what you do and do what you like. That's very important, man. That's very important.
I think that's the only way.
Really? Yeah, you're right about that. As far as the whole thing is with the technician thing, that's amazing. That's amazing, the delight thing and how you came into it. But then you decided to become a caterer and started doing catering. And how did that come about?
Well, rolled in it again. I was working with for Six Metal, and they were recording an album in a small studio in La Chapelle in south of Belgium. So I was with them to cook, and it's easy. If they want to eat lunch at 3 in the afternoon, we fix lunch at 3 in the afternoon. If they want to have dinner at 10. So and the producer of that record was Jo Franken, who do a lot of productions. And then he asked, like, would you like to do that for other bands? So I did it for Zaz, Triggerfinger, Admiral Freebie, Soul Sister. If I like it, I do it.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. I had a late lunch and you made this amazing vegetarian sort of Indian curry, man. Wow. It was really delicious.
Yeah.
And then we had to talk about your specifics with cooking. Is there basically a specific style that you have yourself, or is it your own fusion cooking? Can you elaborate more about that? And how did you get into those spices and stuff? Were you always cooking before?
Yeah, well, I'm interested in cooking. So, and normally when I cook, I don't cook from a book or something like that. So I read what's in it.
You go with your own feelings.
Yeah, sure. It's all about feeling. And normally I cook vegan because, first of all, because it's cheaper than buying meat. It's healthy, and especially when people are in the studio, they're always inside, and if they eat good food, it makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The whole vegan concept, is that something that you had before you started doing the catering? Was that something you were doing already for yourself, or is it something that came about because musicians, a lot of the musicians are going in that direction nowadays?
Yeah, well, when we are on tour with It Says the Metal, we eat vegan. So we have our own cook who makes something and gives it with us. And that's really nice because it's good food. It's healthy. You feel better if you're on tour for 2 months. And you eat pasta every day, it's not gonna work out fine.
Not good. No pasta, no Mickey D, nothing like that. No. No. Exactly.
So and it's true that it's a lot of musicians or everybody who has like intolerance for different things but never to vegetables.
Right,
so
right.
That's easy and.
But that's a good thing. And what I like about it is you always get everything fresh and it's really very tasty. Is there anything in particular that you make for certain artists and they say like, this is one of your signature dishes? Oh,
well, I was once cooking for a band from Tunis, and then I made a chakchouka.
What is that exactly?
Chakchouka is a Tunisian dish. I never made it. I never ate it before. So I tried it, and and I liked it a lot.
Okay.
So that was nice.
Oh, wow. What does it consist of, chakchouka?
Yeah, there's aubergine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's eggplant, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Courgette, a lot of tomato, and spices, secret spices.
Okay.
Albert Heijn.
Well, my listeners overseas wouldn't know the Albert Heijn, but it's a grocery store everyone knows here in Belgium and in Holland. But
yeah.
So you got your special ingredients from the shops, but do you like write your recipes down, or every time you just do it on your instinct?
Yeah.
A lot of caterers they have like a special recipe book. It has to be the same way every time. But
no.
It's all up in your head.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes it's a coincidence.
Okay.
It's like everything in life. You have to feel it, and you have to taste it, and change it.
Right.
It's not good.
Let's go back to being a technician. As a light technician, are you busy now at the moment with some special shows, or are you planning on just continuing with the catering?
No. Catering is fun when it's not too much. No. The main thing is being a light technician. So I know we're gonna start again after more than 1 year of retirement.
With the COVID factor, yes.
yeah. So it's going back to normal, I guess. I hope in August.
I got a feeling it's going to be like a new normal. It won't be the same as it was, but let's say the new normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's gonna be fun to play again for audiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm right now I was preparing a light show for the festivals. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like you said, the lighting technician thing is just that's your main thing. And the catering is like on the side, but you will still be doing the catering like for studio sessions and for groups if they call you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Because the food was great, man. That was great. So
yeah, we had to
don't lose that. Yeah, that's true too. That was good. Those were good too. Yeah. But that Indian curry, man, woo, that was happening. And vegan curry was happening, man. So what I want to do, I want to ask you a question about our main thing, which is beneficial, and I'd like to know what beneficial means for you.
My children, that's really being able to do what you want and don't do what you don't want to do, and it makes you happy. But the most important things are
okay,
the children.
And anything else?
Or is that emotional answer?
It's a personal thing. That's why I asked the question, because my other guests will also have a different answer than you will. So your children and basically doing what you want is important or beneficial for you, in fact. Mm-hmm. Anything else like, your cooking or your being able to do your lights, and that doesn't play a role as being beneficial for you as well?
No, because I like a lot of things. So if they should say you can't cook anymore, so I'll do something else. I paint, I draw, lots of stuff.
Whatever makes you happy is like you said.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can advise it to everybody.
So what would be your advice, for example, to, let's say, a younger generation, let's say 17, when you were 17, what would be your advice to them if they said, I want to get into the music business and I want to be a light person and explore? What would you tell them?
Only do the things you like, and if you can do that, it's gonna work out fine. And if you and stick around. If if you can't be the light technician, you can carry guitars. So if you're attracted to that, you roll into that. So it's
Okay. Great. Well, listen, Bruno, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. And thanks for sharing your story and talking to my audience, telling my audience a little bit about your life, and keep going the lights, but don't lose the food, man.
Okay, all right. And if you need somebody to carry your triangle or something like that, call me.
Well, all right, buddy. Thanks again. A lot of positivity and love to you, bro. And we'll talk to each other soon, and I'm sure we'll see each other in the studio again. And the next time you have to tell me a little bit about that curry dish.
All right, cool. All right.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye. This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C.
Dear listener, my name is Istvan and I produce Eddie's Positive Podcast. As you might know, Eddie is a professional musician and he's been having a rough time, as many of his colleagues had since this corona outbreak. But Eddie kept being positive and spreading it even in these times. So when he suggested to do a podcast celebrating people who do good things every day, I immediately said yes, because I also believe humanity needs much more of this. If you like, now you can support Eddie. We found a unique way to support the show and the positivity which it helps bring to the people. Each episode features a unique quote which embodies the theme of that particular episode. Via the new phenomenon of Nifties or NFTs, now you can become the sole owner of a quote, which also features his fine photography. So, to support Eddie and the show, click on the link in the show notes or visit mypositivepodcast.com and click on support. All proceeds will go to Eddie to help him keep the show going and growing. Thanks already so much.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my second guest is a dear friend of mine and girlfriend, actually, of another very dear friend of mine who was in one of the earlier shows. She's an account manager, a researcher, and an audiovisual art master in documentaries. Please welcome Miss Barbara Corthals. Did I say that right?
You said it absolutely charmingly right.
Okay. How are you doing, Barbara?
I'm doing great. It's an amazing weather here in Belgium. You know, finally, we got some hope on the horizon and doing great.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and also how because you're actually multi-talented. You're doing a lot of different things. So why don't you inform us a little bit?
There's a difference between being multi-talented and doing a lot of things at the same time during the course of a lifespan. So I'm gonna not try to temper your enthusiasm there. I was born in a little sleepy town in the 80s in Deurne, which is a suburb of Antwerp, where I was raised by my grandparents in this typical 70s built, where everybody knew each other and the people talked and gossiped, and where everybody was white, everybody had more or less the same income, and all my friends lived there. I went to the school, so very, very typical upbringing. There was nothing weird or exceptional about it, but I think the older I got, the more that I thought this was not exactly how the rest of Belgium was living, how multicultural that Belgium was. So when I started, to grow up and went to Brussels to study, I sort of started to feel very uncomfortable in my neighborhood because it was not what I was planning with my life. So to the big dismay of my family and, to their shame, and I moved out when I was 18. I went to live in Brussels. On my own in a very rough part of Brussels, where I was scared shitless the first 2 years.
Right.
And we came in every day at 6:00 and we put our pajamas on and we didn't go out, for the night. So that was a bit the first 18 years of my life in a nutshell.
All right.
Well, I was brought up by my grandfather, who was a military guy, who was extremely strict and overprotective, and I couldn't actually really go out the door and play outside. But the only thing he allowed me to do was watch movies. So I got very young. I got my own television. I got a video recorder, and I could see whatever I want. And from a young age, I started to see movies that probably were way ahead of my age. So I saw Silence of the Lambs when it came out. At that point, I was not even 10 years old.
Okay.
I saw Basic Instinct. I saw all those movies, and if you're at that age, the movies, they come in, there's no filter. They just hit you. And for me, it was this escapism that, people, from about when I was 11, 12 years old, I started realizing there were people making this. This was not magic. This was not something that just happened and I could watch it. This was something that could be made. And I was about 15. I started researching, what is there? And there is this school in Brussels that you could actually go and study and have a shot at it, that you could do it. So I was 17 and, again, a big shock to everybody in my family, said, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to go to film school, which, they were not too excited about because they saw already, they wanted a much more stable career for me. But then again, they were happy that I had a vision in life, whatever it was.
Well, how did you get involved in audiovisual art at a documentary thing? Was that something that you basically wanted to do, or did you do like a pre-study, or how did you roll into that?
Well, the thing is, so I went to film school and I sort of fell in love with documentary. And I, it's crazy. You have to do exams to go in, and you start with 250 people. Out of these 250 people, you are left with 70, and then you all sit in this aula, with 70 people. It's still, a lot of people. Yeah, when you come from a little town school like me, it was very impressive. And the first thing the guy said, look to your right, look to your left. 2 of the 3 of you are not going to end these studies. So I was completely, like, what? And so I started my journey, but I think in a sense, they liked that I had this innocence. I came from this little town and I had this innocence, and I loved Hollywood and I loved the whole process about it. And I had this very naive, view on life, life, was nice. And when you start to live in a bigger city, you see the not so nice parts of life. And then I also start to learn about documentary. Well, Pennebaker, all the big documentary makers I start to watch, and I was very much, I really got, as you can be, reality is often stranger than fiction. And I start feeling much more fascinated by that kind of genre. And I went to do it. Was I ever, and after that, I did some very nice projects, like I did a project about a guy that sort of is alcoholic, who has his own bar in Brussels. Wow. And wants to fight to have this little blues bar, who was mythical in Schaerbeek at some point, in the middle of a dominantly, Arab neighborhood where, he was not feel that welcome. I made a documentary about that. And after that, I went into television, and I worked in television for 10 years and did some very nice projects. But that was more about food. That's where my second passion, kicked in, the food passion. So
tell us a little bit more about that. You rolled in from the documentary sector into the food sector. Was that something which you wanted to, that appealed to you right away? Or was it just something you sort of just basically rolled into because of circumstances?
No, not really. Food has in our family is, we're not the big talkers in our family. Food is sort of our dialogue that we communicate with. When we're happy, we'll have lots of nice food and we'll drink a lot. And then when we're not happy, we just drink a lot, not eat and fight. So it's always been a sort of, soundtrack of my life. So I always was mesmerized how food, could make people happy when they're not. Mm-hmm. So I always cooked from when I was a young age, and I always liked it. But of course, I was as a kid, I was pretty good at school, and I was always pushed to go to do better studies, not being a chef or not stand behind a bar, because that, I was too smart for it. Mm-hmm. So I did it on the side. I always cooked for my friends. I always, followed courses. I worked in bars. I worked in restaurant as jobs. And after that, I found, the perfect mix to do documentary, television, and cooking, and made my living. They paid me to do it. It was amazing, and it's still amazing to this day.
Well, so you're also doing a lot of research. What kind of researching are you doing basically now? But
at this point, I'm an account manager. So the research was in the past. I did a lot of research for television. So I was a freelance researcher. So just imagine, Eddie, you have this show like you have now, and you said, Barb, in the next 3 weeks, I want to have 3 amazing guests on my program, and I want them to have these and these and these features. Find them for me. That was my job.
And in the future, when I need to have some people for my show, I'll give you a call.
Yeah, but I'm very expensive. So, and I don't have a lot of time right now. No, I worked on programs like the crazy programs, what you see, like my 600-pound life, clean my house. I was young and I was crazy and I love to go in those strange realities. So, I had to look for people that hadn't cleaned their houses for 10 years, that had dog shit all over the place. Mm-hmm. That was my job.
Okay.
And if you're 22, it's amazing because you go across the whole country, in your car, and you just stop in random places where you see a dirty house and you ring the bell and ask whether they want to participate. So it's great.
Out of all those researching projects that you did, is there one in particular that kind of like sticks with you until today? You say, well, wow, this is something I never would have expected.
Well, yeah, but maybe in a not so nice way. How Clean Is Your House is a program, I think, in America and in England. And we have a similar thing in Belgium. So me and my colleague, who then turned into my best friend and still is, 20 years on, I had to look for dirty houses. And at some point we got, sort of tip off of somebody says, go and look for this family in, the deep parts of the West Flanders. And we arrived there and I had to film. She was the one who sort of looked around and I was the one filming and asking questions. And there's a couple of people and they had 13 children.
Wow.
And they lived in absolute slum, and they just made children to make children, and they all lived in terrible conditions. And I think we looked around, and I looked at her and we said, we can't put this on television. I mean, this is too bad, even for that program, which shows the worst of the worst. This was too bad. There were kids sleeping on the ground, while there was a child taking a crap on the floor next door. They didn't have a working toilet. They didn't have water because it was cut off.
Wow.
So that was, I think we said afterwards, we went to a bar and we just drank, 2 whiskeys and looked at each other like, wow, you can't imagine that this still exists and there's nothing, going, nothing done. So yeah. Of course, there were the fun parts too. We had, we had to like once I had to research, what do you call them? People that inventors. Mm-hmm. They're inventors in Belgium, Eddie.
Yeah.
They're people that invent stuff. So I had a guy and he was 65 and he invented the craziest things. Like he invented this kind of thing. It was a stick. And at the end of the stick, there was a little bag attached. So his dog could shit in the bag. So he didn't have to pick it up. So you can already, so the dog was also very aggressive. So the day before we had to record, they gave the dog some drugs. So the dog was completely out of his mind. And so he was like following the dog with this stick with a bag attached. So the dog could do his thing in the bag, but the dog was like not having none of it. So we ended up chasing the dog with the stick, and I was like, oh my God. And yeah, that was something that we, and the guy really believed in it because he was going to these big stores, to Aveve, to the big animal places to sell his invention. He thought, this is it. People will never have to pick up the crap of their dog again.
Wow.
And but that's the beauty of life,
But did it work? Did the contraption actually work, regardless of the dog not being in?
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, like my dog, he doesn't, not to go too much in detail of the crapping of my dog, but he doesn't do a crapping one time. He sometimes takes his time. So no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then I said, and then I told him, and then he said, okay, now, so the dog did do his thing in the bag. And I said, but you still have to take the bag out with your hands. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have to bend over. I'm like, okay, all right. There you go.
Okay.
You don't have to bend over.
All right.
So there you go.
Okay. Well, let's go over to the account management part of your, which is what you're basically busy with now. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, after television, sort of about 5 years ago, it went a bit through a rough period of television where there was Netflix came on, a lot of streaming sites came on, and the actual television for a freelancer went a bit through a rough time. So I got booked a couple of times, and then at the last moment, the bookings didn't go through because the program was canceled because they didn't get money, or, it took ages before they take a decision. So, I want to work, I'm somebody who wants to go on.
Sure.
So I decided to go look a bit further what I could do in life with my passions, researching food. And I found that you can sell stuff like food to restaurants and advise them how to do it. So I went from fruit and vegetables. I did a couple of years, and now I'm into coffee. So I grew. I'm doing it now 4 years for Java coffee. Maybe a bit of a. So I advise people which machine they have to get, and how they have which coffee they serve, and how they have to present it, or how they want to present it to sell the most coffee to their customers. But it goes very wide. It goes from old people's places to hospitals, to student bars, to Michelin star restaurants, to, for example, tomorrow I have to go to a big hotel in Ostend to make sure that they sell a lot of coffee.
All right. So you're traveling quite a lot. You're on the road quite a lot.
Totally. Yeah, I do 40,000 to 60,000 kilometers a year. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. And of course, your boyfriend, Jeff, he's busy now with his music career. And I know you give him a lot of support. I see the remarks on your Facebook pages with each other, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, you grow together. We've been together for, almost 11 years in a couple of weeks. So yeah, you grow together. And my work sometimes also helps him because through my work, I get to know people and I present him to them and something happens. So yeah, that's
great.
Fun.
That's great. Well, listen, we're getting close to our last question. I'd like to ask you about our theme, which is beneficial. And what does beneficial mean for you?
Mm-hmm. Beneficial is for me, it's something that I do just for me. And I just say that because
you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, because I'm always running around, not doing things for other people, but also I'm a very, you have to ask Jeff, I'm a very social person and I like to have a lot of people around me. That is my natural habitat. And I learned, and it's only the last couple of years, to do things just for me. And that means that attention is just for me. And I don't have to make sure that people have drinks. I don't have to make sure that people are comfortable. I do it for me. And I do it through shiatsu. I go once a month to a shiatsu
therapist
that I just can focus on me and we talk about me. And it took a long time before I could let it go, but that is for me. And I come out of it and I'm a better person. And it doesn't just make me another person, but it makes me a better person for other people because I feel better about myself.
What would you advise to, let's say, the younger generation that today, especially now after the whole COVID thing we've been going through, about how to be beneficial, let's say, for the larger part of our society? Because I think what we have is we have a sort of individualistic society these last years, which we've gotten lost with social media, which is a good thing. Social media is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But I have the idea we've sort of like created an individualistic kind of society. And for me, I think beneficial also means not only thinking about yourself, but about the things around you as well. Because you need those things as well in order to be complete, I think.
Why don't you just connect to people around you? People always try to connect with people on the other half of the planet or to people through, like you say, through Facebook that they don't even know. Now we, like in our neighborhood, there are these little gardens, in front of the houses. And now we sort of have a rhythm that people are going to sit there and you come by and you say hi and you just go in and have a drink and chat with people. I think let's appreciate little stuff. There's big stuff ahead of us. Okay, we just had to miss it for a while, but the big stuff will come and it's ahead of us. But don't forget what the small things that you learn can be beneficial for you. Like just take a chair, sit in a garden with some people and have a drink. And have a talk and put your phones aside and we put music on and we talk.
All right. Well, on those words, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. and keep that positivity going. keep being beneficial for yourself as well as those close to you.
Dude, thanks for having me, Eddie. It was very nice. Nice chat.
All right. And sending a lot of love to you. And you give my best regards to Jeff as well, okay?
I will do. He'll be coming home in a couple of hours.
All righty. Thanks again for coming on.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my last guest is a very, very dear friend of mine. We have known each other since we were like 5 years old back in the elementary school. He's originally from Gary, Indiana, and he's now living in Atlanta, Georgia. He's working as a construction technician and doing construction management. Please welcome my last guest and dear friend, Mr. Robert E. Davis III. Hey,
my man.
How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I certainly appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you so much.
It's been such a long time since we've had
a long time. I mean, since high school, I think is the last thing. You said you've been over there since 75, so it's been since 74 at least.
Yeah, well, we've known each other. If we do the math, 60 years.
Yeah, 60 years. 60 years. Most definitely. 60 years. God is good, man.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, let's tell my public a little bit more about, your background and how you actually ended up living in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. I guess it goes back to my mother's side of the family. Her father was born and raised in Atlanta. And in 1976, we had a family reunion here in Atlanta. And that was the first time that I had ever come to Georgia. I was 19 years old and family came down and we stayed with folks and I just fell in love with the place. It was just awesome. And the 70s down here in Atlanta, it was a mecca for Black folks.
All right. Yeah.
And, so a friend of mine at that time told me, he said, if you can't move to Atlanta, tell them to send your corpse when you die. So,
that's a good one.
but that I made up my mind at that time that I would someday move down here. So that was 76. So and then my mother actually moved back here in 78. So I would come, spring break from school and different times just to visit her. So I was here off and on. And then, so I met a young lady here in 79 on one of my trips to visit my mom, and ended up getting married to her in 82. And, so she's from, so I was living in Columbus, Ohio when we got married. And so I promised her, because she wanted to move back because her people, she didn't know anybody up there. So I promised her, I'd do my best to get us back down there. So in 85, I was able to get transferred from the company, construction company I was working for at that time. And that was December 85 that we actually moved here. And then I got permanent here in January 86. So it was my reason for coming down here is my mom lived here, and I needed to be closer to her because she had some issues and helped her out. But for the most part, I loved the city. It was, like I said, it was a Black Mecca.
All right.
And I was able to thrive.
Right. And I know that a lot of folks have moved from Gary, Indiana, especially the folks that we graduated with from high school.
We call it Gary South.
I was amazed. I was amazed to see how many folks from out Gary and from out our, that we've known growing up.
Yeah.
Are all living there.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing.
We're here. There's several of us here. As a matter of fact, we were before COVID hit. some of us, a group of us here, were going to do an event, a weekend event, where we had solicited folks to come, Gary folks from all over the country,
right,
to come here and spend the weekend, and it was just going to be a Gary event,
Wow.
from folks all over the country. And we had planned to do it in April rather of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But by that time, all hell hit, and so we had to cancel it.
Right. Yeah. And COVID, how has it? Have you guys really felt a strong effect about it? I'm sure you felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, it changed. It changed the way we did things in terms of, especially work. My management, because I have to be hands on. We were, and a lot of folks lost their jobs or weren't able to work. But the construction industry, the projects that we were on were considered essential personnel.
Okay.
So we were allowed to go to work, but we had to, there was the Center for Disease Control here had so many regulations and stipulations that, you had to live by, work by.
Right.
It was difficult, but so the guys that are actually, putting the brick and mortar together in the field, they had to go to the job site. But as far as the management was concerned, we were able to do IT stuff, and I worked from the house,
right,
for probably about 6 months.
Okay, so you did a lot of because in your job, doing the management
I push paper is basically what I do.
All right.
I manage the dollars.
Okay, that's always good.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alrighty. And your company that you're working for, is it just based? It's an Atlanta-based company, or
it's an Atlanta-based company? Yes, but we're spread out. We at this point, as a matter of fact, the owner of the company is in Virginia today, looking at at a potential project for Google. In Virginia. So, I mean, that would be, this particular project would be the largest project we've been able to procure.
Wow.
So he's talking with Google personnel and a couple of joint venture majority firms that he would joint venture with to be able to do this project.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there's a potential. I'm not going to knock on wood here, because I really don't want to, in the next, like I said, I got 2-3 years left. I don't want to move to Virginia to do this project, but.
Hey, Virginia is where I was born, man. It's a beautiful state.
Yeah. But, I've raised 5 children here.
All right.
And this has been I've been here longer than I've been any place else.
I can dig it. Yeah. I can dig it. Well, that's what I have with Europe.
Yeah.
I spent my adult years over here. So, I mean, I left when I was 19, actually. And
yeah, you said 75, man. You've been there quite some time.
Yeah. So it's, Europe has become more or less my home. And it's great that we have this kind of, social media that we're able to communicate with each other the way that we do. That's real nice that you can actually have a conversation and you're, many miles away from each other.
Right. And then have the visual as well. So this is wonderful, man. This is wonderful. When you sent me that request, I was like, oh man, I got to do this. Got to do this.
So at the moment, are you still working for this company?
Yes. Well, I'm currently working on a project at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, where the domestic terminal has on the south side and north side of the facility, there are parking decks. But between the parking deck and the terminal, there's roadways that, it's just congested.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is we're building bridges over the roadways, the pedestrian bridges where they can walk above the roadway,
right,
and get into the terminal so they won't have to walk through the traffic. So there are 2 on the north side and 2 on the south side that we've constructed. And we're on the last one at this point, the 4th one. We've turned over 3, and we are scheduled to turn over to the Airport Authority, the 4th one at the end of this month. So this particular project, I will be probably completing in late July, early August, and then potential for the project in Virginia to start. And I did a presentation today, as a matter of fact, for another project. It's a facility, the Fulton County, that's the county that Atlanta is in, is going to build an animal shelter. It's a 54,000 square foot facility that will house all types of animals. So we did a presentation, and what I mean by that is the company goes in and it's bells and whistles, dog and pony show. Basically telling them, how good we are and why we should be the ones you select to do the construction, to pay it. So there were 4 different firms that go through this selection process, and we were one of the 4. And so our presentation was today, and we should find out within a week's time whether we won the project or not.
Well, I hope you guys get that, man. That would be really nice for you.
Thank you. And that way it'd keep me in Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Speaking of going back to Gary for a second, I remember when we grew up, because Gary was a very blooming city. And
it was bustling, man. It was bustling.
And it's changed so much. The last time I went there, I practically had tears in my eyes because I was just so shocked of how it went down.
Every time I go back, it hurts. I mean, when we were growing up, it was a wonderful place to live.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. I mean, U.S. Steel was a driving force. Inland Steel, U.S. Steel, Bethlehem Steel. I mean, the folks that may not have gone to college went to the mill. I mean, they were making good money, and I mean, they were making good money back then.
Absolutely.
And with the demise of the steel industry, had an adverse effect on the community and the economy is what I was trying to think of. And this is my personal thought on it. I think the mayor at the time, he was not a visionary to where he could see, well, we need to diversify, not base the overall economy on the mills. I mean, Gary was based on the steel industry, and that was it. With the demise of the steel industry, so came the demise of Gary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then of course the crime, that came over from the gang wars and the drugs, and it became like a battlefield.
Oh, no question. And to look at it now, I went back to West Side's 40-year reunion for 74, and it looks like a war zone, man. I mean, there were buildings dilapidated, just falling apart. Broadway, I mean, when you could take the bus down on Broadway and just have a ball. The Palace, the State Theater,
Nothing left of it. Nothing left of it now.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's quite a shame. Hopefully, you never know, one day there may be some new life coming into town. That depends on how the younger generation looks at it.
That day, people have talked about that for a number of years, but it just doesn't seem to happen. I mean, several different mayors have come in and gone, and nothing. They haven't been able to produce anything. I mean, basically, Gary at this point now is landlocked with the lake on one side, and then like Maryville just grew up out of nothing.
Yeah,
Maryville, it was south of US 30. Was farmland.
Right. But now it's like more of a city than Gary.
It's right. And they diversify. So at this point, Gary has no way out. They're locked. I don't see how it can be revitalized, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least maybe not in our lifetime, but
exactly.
We keep some positive energy out there for folks there, and hopefully the younger generations might, replant some seeds so that it can grow again. I got one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
Our theme is beneficial, and I'd like to know, what does beneficial mean for you?
That's a good question. I never have thought about that. What beneficial means for me? Something that would be advantageous for my family. I'm a family-oriented individual. Like I said, I got 5 young adults ranging in age from 37 to 31. 2 boys and 3 girls. The boys are bookends. And my adult life, I'm their beneficiary. I mean, they need to know that what I do is going to be what I've done and what I still do, even at this age, is for them and my wife. I've been married 25 years, and she is beneficial to me.
All right.
If that makes sense, I don't know, but
hey, if it makes sense to you, that's what's important.
We have a blended family. She was married before, and I was married before, and I had 3 children from my first marriage. She had 2 children from her marriage. We don't have any actually together. But in coming together, that's a whole nother story. In coming together, we blended the children. I mean, they fit like gloves. Her 2, I have a 37, 34, and 31-year-old, and hers are 36 and 32. So, but I say it like that, but at this point, we've been together 25 years.
All right.
And you come together, and if you see some of the pictures on Facebook, you would think that they were blood. And I give all glory and honor to my Lord and Savior in regard to that, because it was tough, man, from the beginning. But at this point now, I've had her to tell me that they wouldn't be who they are today without me. So that's what beneficial is to me.
All right. I got one small question in connection with that. What would you tell young folks growing up in this day and time? I guess you would call the new normal, because things are not going to be the same as they were before COVID. There's going to be a different way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. What would you tell young folks today coming up at this day and time that want to go out and pursue the things that are beneficial for them?
I trust God. Okay. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. You have to come to know the Lord to be able to do the things that you want to do in life. And I'm not saying that just to be saying it, because every time that I've tried to do something and not bring him into the picture, I fail. I mean, I have my shortcomings, there's no question about it. But I just believe that in things that I do, especially with my wife, we pray on it first, and then we move forward with what we believe, is the will of God. And you have to know the word to be able to understand what it is he's trying to tell you. I say the word, the Bible. I'm not overwhelmed by it. Mm-hmm. But I do believe in it, because I've gone down the road of perdition. It has not been a very good path. But when I have incorporated him into my life, I've been successful in my endeavors. I've been successful in my relationship with my wife and my family. And that is what I would say, first and foremost, to young ones that are coming up, trying to make a way in life, put God first, and then all else will come together.
Okay, buddy. Well, on those words, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you and to see you after so many years, man. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, and sending my love to you and your family. And we will definitely keep in touch.
Most definitely, Mayor. Most definitely. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you, man. Because like I said, early on in growing up, you were a true friend. You were a good friend. And we lost touch, and it was such, if it wasn't for Facebook, we wouldn't be here where we are now. So that was a blessing in itself, because it rekindled the friendship that we had. And I thank you for your response, and I thank you for this invitation, and it has warmed my heart.
Oh, well, thank you, man. Well, you take care, and a lot of love to you, brother.
Most definitely. Same to you,
All
my
right.
friend.
Bye-bye.
All right, I'll stay in touch.
All right, me too. All right, bye-bye. This is MPP, and I'm Eddie C. Well, I really enjoyed my conversations with three unique people. Each of them have a special story to tell. And I like the fact that they all see beneficial as how it appears to them. For me, it's about the little things in life that you sometimes don't notice, but you need those things to survive and to enjoy and to have a positive lifestyle. And on those words, here's my quote. Beneficial. Doing what makes you feel good inside and outside. The value of basic needs that give you the tools to expand beyond your goals and create new ones. Your faith and belief in whatever it is for you relative to your life's path. Love and satisfaction for what you have and how beneficial you are each day you live. Well, that's all for this week's show. But before I go, I'd like to thank my three guests, Bruno Decock, Barbara Corthals, and Robert E. Davis III, for sharing their stories and telling us what beneficial means to them. And remember, it's those little things that you don't know that are very beneficial to your life. Until next time. You can find me on all platforms like Spotify, Android, and Apple. On Facebook, look for My Positive Podcast, and my website is mypositivepodcast.com. You can also contact me via my website or Facebook. A very special thanks to my technical producer, Iswan. This show is a production by Antwerp Podcast Service. My name is Eddie C., and this was MPP, My Positive Podcast. Tune in next week and stay positive.